really looking forward to welcoming you to the family, Erin. You're such a lovely girl. My son is a very lucky man to have you. Aw, thank you for saying that. I'm also really looking forward to getting to know you all better. Thank you so much for giving your blessing for this marriage to go ahead, Carrie. Oh no, we're the ones who should be thanking you for agreeing to marry our son. I don't know how a guy like him could have found such a well-educated, well-mannered young lady like you. I'll make sure he puts his everything into making you happy. Aw, thank you so much for saying such nice things.
Ugh, I can't stand this butter wouldn't melt act you're putting on.
Excuse me? What did you just say? Are you talking about me, Tammy?
Well, yeah, who else would I be talking about? Who else is that here being shamelessly pretentious?
Tammy, for goodness sake! Why are you acting like this all of a sudden? You can't say things like that to your future sister-in-law.
Well, we'll see about that. They're not even married yet, so I think it's a little early to be calling her my anything-in-law. Don't you?
I heard so much about you from Marcus, Tammy. He always talks about how lovely his adorable younger sister is. He seems to dote on you as if you were his daughter and not his sister. I can see you're just as lovely as he made you out to be.
Do you have a lot of exes, Erin?
Why would you ask that all of a sudden? No, not really. No more than the average person, I don't think.
Well, you just look like the sort of person who dates around a lot. That's all. And like the kind of person who steals your friends' boyfriends.
Seriously, Tammy, what's gotten into you all of a sudden? Why would you say something like that at the dinner table? Hurry up and apologize to poor Erin.
I'm just expressing my opinion. I really don't see what's wrong with that.
You really don't know when to stop, do you? I'm so sorry, Erin. She's still quite young and clearly still has a lot of maturing left to do. She doesn't mean what she's saying. She's just an ignorant kid running her mouth off. Oh, no, it's fine. I find it kind of endearing that she doesn't feel the need to conform to social norms. Don't worry about me. I didn't take offense at anything she said. Thank you for being so understanding about this. Here, eat some of this. I asked Marcus what your favorite foods were, and he said that you really liked seafood. Thank you so much for going out of your way to make food I like. I really do love seafood. You really didn't need to go to all of this trouble just for me, though. I'll take you out to dinner wherever you want to say thank you. We can go on a little date, just the two of us. That sounds lovely. I'm so happy to have gained another daughter. You're the only girl Marcus has ever brought home to introduce to the family, so that must mean he's really serious about this. I'm just over the moon that he found someone as lovely as you.
Ugh, why are you eating so much so quickly? Why do you have to be such a pig at the dinner table? Do you always have bad table manners like this?
I really don't know why she's acting like this. I wouldn't stand for this if she wasn't my fiancé's little sister. I guess I was eating a little fast. It's just so tasty, I couldn't help myself. I can see how that could come across as a little piggy. Tammy! Will you please stop talking like that? I really don't know why you're being so rude to Erin for no reason. I'm sorry, Erin. She's the baby of the family. As you know, she's 15 years younger than her brother, so he probably ended up spoiling her a little too much. That's probably why she thinks she can act up like this. I'm so sorry about her behavior. I first met my fiancé, Marcus, through a mutual friend, and we hit it off straight away. I thought he was the one I wanted to spend the rest of my life with pretty early on in our relationship. We decided to get married after being together for 2 years, but because we both come from quite conservative backgrounds, we didn't introduce each other to our families until the engagement was official. He always showed me unwavering, unconditional love and made me really happy. I really did love him very much, and I never thought that anything would be able to get in the way of our love. I went to introduce myself to his family not that long after we got engaged, and his parents were lovely and very accepting of me. His younger sister, on the other hand, didn't hide her dislike of me and openly insulted me at the dinner table. I didn't think too much of it at first, because I thought she must just be a little upset about someone taking her precious older brother away from her. We went ahead with the wedding preparations after meeting each other's families, and my fiancé's parents gave us their full support. But one day, my fiancé and I went out together to buy a bed for our new house, and his sister decided that she would follow us. After that, she followed us on every single date we went on and tried to interfere as much as possible. She would criticize every little thing I said, and whenever I suggested a particular restaurant, she would insult my taste and slam my decisions in any way she could. It really started to be quite anxiety-inducing, and I wasn't able to enjoy spending any time with my fiancé. She also started to directly insult my appearance, which ended up souring the atmosphere every time we went out. Things were gradually getting worse and worse, and I finally reached my breaking point. I resolved to finally stand up to her and tell her exactly how I was feeling. Tammy, don't you think you're crossing a few too many lines here?
Me? Crossing a line? I don't know what you're insinuating. What have I done?
It's not like it's just been once or twice. Whenever Marcus and I go out together to prepare something for the wedding, you insist on following us. Whenever we go on a date, you insist on following us. Basically, whenever we go anywhere and it's just meant to be me and Marcus, you insist on following us. You always do your best to sabotage things, and I tried my best to understand how you must be feeling as the baby of the family, having your big brother taken away. But I've really reached the point where I don't think I can be understanding of you anymore. You've really pushed my boundaries a little too far now. You're 20 years old, which means you're a fully grown adult who has no excuse to be going around acting like a ridiculous child. By your age, you should know what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable to say to people. Surely.
I don't like this condescending tone you're taking with me right now. I don't get what's so wrong with coming with my brother to help him prepare for his wedding. I'm his family. You're not married to him yet, so you're not his family, and blood runs thicker than water.
Even so, you really shouldn't be acting like this. All you've done since we first met is constantly criticize me. Whenever we try and get something done in preparation for the wedding, you do your best to get in our way, and you even stoop as low as to criticize my appearance. Do you really believe that it's normal and acceptable to behave in this way towards someone who just wants to be accepted as part of your family? If you ask any sane person, they will tell you that what you're doing is strange and disturbing. Do you really hate the idea of me marrying your brother that much?
Well, I don't think I'm getting in your way at all. I'm sure my brother enjoys sharing his wedding preparations with me. And as for your appearance, I'm just stating my honest opinion on what I see in front of me. To me, you look like a sly fox of a woman who takes advantage of men. So I just say what I see. I hate watching you scarf back your food like a pig as well. Am I not allowed to state my opinion on that either?
Even if that is what you think, surely you should know that these things are best kept to yourself. Do you not understand that you need to be mindful of your manners when talking to other people? This is such a basic rule about human interactions that I really don't know why I have to sit here explaining it to you. It's not like you're a child or anything. From now on, I'd really appreciate it if you would let Marcus and I deal with the wedding preparations by ourselves.
You're making me out to sound like a really strange person, and I really don't appreciate that. You're saying that I'm a weirdo who doesn't have basic manners and wants to sabotage her brother's engagement. Am I really that awful in your mind?
Will you just shut up now, please, Tammy? Why are you being so rude to your future sister-in-law? I've never seen you acting like this before.
Wait, why are you turning against me all of a sudden? Why are you getting mad at me and not at her? She's the one who deserves it.
You've crossed a line and you know it, Tammy. We tried our best to be understanding of you, but this really is getting to be too much. Why can't you understand that this is the woman I love and it upsets me to see you treat her like this? How dare you just behave however you like in front of her? How can you be so rude? You were always such a sweet girl. How come you've grown up to be such a nasty person? I didn't raise you this way. I don't understand why you're so against our engagement. What is it about Erin that you don't like so much? She's been bending over backwards to try and appease you just as much as I have.
I don't get why you're so mad at me. I haven't done anything wrong. All I'm doing is being considerate of you. I don't like this woman, and I've said so from the beginning. I would go as far as to say that I hate her. I hate her so much. Why do you have to go ahead and marry her even when I've made it very clear how much I hate her? I'm not going to back down, no matter what you tell me. In fact, I'm going to take things up a notch. You can take this as a warning, Aaron. I'm going to do my utmost to make sure that this marriage does not go ahead. Confronting me like this is the worst decision the two of you could have possibly made. I'm going home now. I don't want to be here anymore. Watch this space. I'm not going to stand still and let this marriage happen.
After his sister stormed out of the restaurant that day, my fiancé said he thought she was probably feeling jealous of me and asked me to understand how she must be feeling. I figured that must be the case too, and agreed to just let the whole thing go. His sister was a surprise baby who was born when his parents were well into their 40s, so there is quite a significant age difference between her and my fiancé, who was born not long after their parents got married. Because of this age difference, my fiancé ended up being more of a father figure than a brother to her. Their parents both worked a lot, and my fiancé ended up being the one who did the most for my sister when she was growing up, meaning that they ended up forming quite a strong bond. It also meant that he ended up viewing her more as a daughter than as a sister, and joined his parents in spoiling her as she got older. We planned to move after we got married, which would mean that he would end up seeing his sister and his parents way less, maybe no more than 2 or 3 times a year at best. So I thought that it would be okay to just put up with her bothering us during our engagement. However, things just got worse and worse after the day at the restaurant. She started to become more and more unhinged, and her attitude towards me became worse and worse. She started to harass me constantly over the phone, texting and calling me nonstop and blowing my phone up even more if I tried to ignore her. I don't know how she found out where I worked, but one day she even showed up at my workplace to harass me there, shouting and screaming at me not to marry her brother. Even when I told my fiancé about this, nothing he did would stop her, and no matter how much her parents scolded her, she wouldn't listen to a single word they said. Instead, their objections to her behavior seemed to just add fuel to the fire, and things continued to get worse. She even threw a tantrum saying she would cut contact with her brother and her parents if the wedding went ahead. It got to a point where I knew this couldn't possibly go on any longer, and I decided to meet her one-on-one to talk things out. Tell me, why do you hate me so much, Tammy? No matter how hard I try, I can't think of anything I could have done to upset you. I've always gone out of my way to be nice to you and accommodate you. So tell me, what is it about me that you dislike so much? If you tell me what it is, I can try my best to try and fix it so that we can get along better.
Would you be willing to get plastic surgery then?
Plastic surgery? What are you talking about? You have a problem with my face?
Yes, I do have a problem with your face. You look exactly like the ex-friend who stole my first love away from me in high school. Whenever I see your face, I remember the heartache I went through back then. I can't control how upset it makes me feel, which is why I feel uncomfortable being around you all the time.
That's the reason? Is that seriously the reason why you've been harassing me this whole time? I thought it was because you had some kind of attachment to your brother and you didn't want me to take him away from you. I would have even had a hard time understanding why you had such a vendetta against me for that reason, but I would have had a little more sympathy for you. I really can't believe what I just heard. You're willing to get in the way of my relationship with your brother because I resemble somebody who upset you in high school? Even if it was something about my personality that you didn't like, I also would have been more understanding. After all, people can change their personalities if they really have to. But there's not much I can do about my face. I get that you must have been hurt by your friend stealing your boyfriend, but I really don't think it's a valid reason to be trying this hard to sabotage my relationship with your brother. It's just ridiculous and absurd to say the least. You're an adult. Surely you should be able to see that there's something very wrong with the way you've been acting.
I don't see what's so wrong about expressing dislike towards somebody I don't like. And how dare you belittle my heartbreak? You're basically laughing at my pain right now, aren't you? Well, soon you'll know what it's like to lose the person you love, and then it will be my turn to laugh at you.
That's not what I'm saying. How can you completely ignore the point of what I've been saying and twist my words against me? No matter how much I look like that girl who stole your boyfriend, I'm not her. So surely you can see that it's unfair of you to take out your anger on me when it should be directed at her. I would understand if you got a little upset the first time you saw me and took a little time to warm up to me. But openly hating me to this extent is a little extreme, don't you agree?
I don't agree. I don't know why I have to sit here and be lectured by you. I'm the princess in my house, you know. What I say goes. My parents and my brother will bend over backwards to do what I want. If I say I don't like you, they'll eventually give in, you know. I may be immature, but I don't care. I'm happy as long as I get my way in the end. I'm sorry if you think that talking like this to me is going to make me change my mind about you, because it isn't. Even my parents don't talk to me the way you just did. Who do you think you are to scold me as if I'm some kind of misbehaving child?
I'm not trying to look down on you. You know what? Sure. I'm in the wrong here. Once I'm married to your brother, I'll make sure I treat you like a princess as well, okay? So will you just let me off this one time? I really love your brother, you know. I'll buy you your favorite meals and I'll take you shopping for your favorite clothes. Whenever you want anything, just call me and I'll get it for you, okay?
I don't need you to try and buy my favor. My parents and my brother are already at my beck and call, so I don't need you as well. I want one thing and one thing only. For you to call off your engagement to my brother as soon as possible. Why do you keep making me repeat myself? The message should have been loud and clear the first time round. I do not like you.
Well, it's clear that no matter what I say, nothing is going to get through to her. Well, how about you try thinking about this from your brother's perspective? He really likes me, and if your brother is a priority to you, then you wouldn't want to see him sad because he can't marry the person he wants to be with, would you? Do you really want to see him suffer?
Oh, even if he's sad at first, I'm sure he'll get over it. After all, it's not like you're the only woman in the world. He'll find someone else soon enough. There are lots of prettier, younger women than you out there who would be happy to marry a guy like my brother. It's not like he doesn't have options. Don't be so delusional as to think that you're that special, because you're really not. And shall I tell you something? Nobody in my family has ever not given in to my stubbornness before. So if I insist on saying that I don't want you to marry my brother, there's no way that you'll be able to. Nothing you do is going to make this work out in your favor. So you might as well just give up now and stop wasting your time. So hurry up and go find a new boyfriend already because your relationship with my brother is as good as over.
I really am speechless. It's impossible trying to get through to you, isn't it? We've already bought everything we need and booked the ceremony. What makes you think you can get the whole thing canceled just because you don't like my face? Surely you can see that this is not something a normal person would do. Surely you can understand why I think this whole thing is unreasonable. This whole situation has been extremely blown out of proportion.
I don't even want to bother to try to understand how you might be feeling about this. No matter how unfair you feel things might be, there's nothing you can do to change things now. The best thing you can do now is hurry up and realize that your efforts are futile and get away from my brother as soon as possible.
You! Going to talk with my fiancé's sister did not go the way I planned. She refused to back down and things became even worse. Even my fiancé's parents, who had really liked me initially, caved in and said that they couldn't give their blessing for a marriage that their daughter was so vehemently protesting against. They apologized to me and said they hoped I'd understand. I really did end up breaking off the engagement because of this ridiculous reason. And even though my fiancé kept protesting and saying that we could make it work somehow, things with his sister didn't get any better and he ultimately wasn't mentally strong enough to fight his family for me or choose me over them if it came down to it. I never would have thought that this kind of thing happened to real people. It's the sort of situation that you only think happens in soap operas. I couldn't believe that my engagement had actually had to come to an end because of this, and I ended up going into shock from the unfairness of it all. I ended up having stroke-like episodes and had to quit my job. I was completely reliant on medication to function, and each day was hell for both me and for my family who were doing their best to support me through this. Around 3 years went by, and I slowly started to be able to live a fairly normal life again. I stopped suffering from seizures, but I was still suffering from a deep depression, and it felt like I would continue to be depressed for the rest of my life. One day, My younger brother said he had met someone he wanted to marry and would be bringing her home to introduce to the family. I knew that he had been seeing someone for around a year, but following our family's traditional values, he wanted to wait until he was sure he was going to marry her to introduce her to us. He said that she was a sweet, angelic girl, and he was sure that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. The day that he brought her over to ask for our blessing, I nearly fell over in shock when I finally saw her face. My brother's fiancé was none other than my ex-fiancé's younger sister who had harassed me to the point of ruining my engagement and caused me to fall into this depression. When she realized who I was, she turned as white as a sheet as if she had seen a ghost and stood in the front porch for a long time without coming inside. However, after a minute or two, she composed herself and started to act like nothing was amiss. She acted like the sweetest girl alive in front of my parents, which made me seethe with anger. Seeing her so confidently put on an act in my own family home left me with a bitter taste in my mouth. I knew that my chance for revenge had presented itself to me, and under no circumstances would I let my brother go ahead with marrying that crazy girl. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I resolved to make her suffer just as much as I did over the last 3 years.
This food is so delicious, Bonnie. You're such an amazing cook. I'll have to learn your secrets.
I'm so glad you like it. Thank you so much for your lovely words, sweetheart. How are your family doing, by the way? We really should meet them soon. You said you're the youngest of 2, right? Did you say you had an older brother?
Yes. I do have an older brother. Oh, Bonnie, I've been meaning to ask. What foundation are you using? You look as if you're in your 30s. When I first saw you, I thought you were Lewis's sister.
Oh, you flatter me. I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me feel good, though.
I mean it. I'm sure if we went out together, people would keep asking if we were siblings.
Ugh, I can't stand this butter wooden act melt you're putting on.
Excuse me? Are you talking to me?
Oh, no, I'm just talking to myself. Don't mind me.
Okay.
How about you try some of this, Tammy? I asked Lewis about what food you like, and I tried to prepare your favorites. I really hope you like it.
Thank you so much. I'll make sure to clean my plate.
Ugh, why are you eating so much so quickly? Why do you have to be such a pig at the dinner table? Do you always have bad table manners like this? What's gotten into you all of a sudden, Aaron? I just suddenly started wondering. Do you make a habit of interfering with other people's lives, Tammy?
What a thing to ask. No, of course I don't do that.
Oh, really? Well, you just look exactly like the sort of person who loves to mess with other people's lives. So I just thought I would ask.
What an interesting sense of humor you have, Aaron.
Oh, if you like this, I can keep going. I have lots of material.
I'm sure there's no need for that.
Well, I'm sure I could make many more interesting assumptions about you. I really don't know why you're acting like this today, Aaron. Poor Tammy must be nervous, and you're not really doing much to help put her heart at ease, are you? Yeah, you're acting really weird today, Aaron. Is there something you don't like about Tammy? Oh, I think it's probably because I'm just feeling a little sensitive today. After all, you know that my own engagement was broken up by a madwoman 3 years ago, and I've been severely depressed ever since. Even now, I still haven't been able to go back to the way I used to be. So I'm sure you'll understand that this whole marriage thing is a touchy subject for me. Yes, I hope you can be understanding of my daughter, Tammy. She's still not very well because of the trauma she went through back then.
Yes, of course.
A few days after my ex-fiancé's sister came to present herself to our family, I got a call from an unknown number. It was her. She said she had something to say to me and asked if the two of us could meet somewhere to talk in private.
Is this a game to you? Is playing with me like this fun for you? Huh?
I'm not sure. Do I look like I'm having fun? How was it for you when you were harassing me and trying to ruin my life 3 years ago? Was it fun? You know exactly how it felt for you, so there's no need to ask me when you clearly know the answer.
I'm not talking about what happened 3 years ago. I'm talking about now. How could you act like that towards me in front of your mom and Louis? Do you know how awful that made me feel? Why did you have to turn out to be his older sister of all people? This is the worst situation I could have possibly imagined. I can't believe that you're still so hung up on what happened 3 years ago. It was just a one-time mistake I made when I was young and stupid. It's a little pathetic that you're still letting it affect you now. You were pathetic back then, and you're still pathetic now.
Well, you clearly haven't changed one bit in the last 3 years either. I'm actually kind of relieved. If you had actually changed your ways and become a nice person, I would have felt a little sorry towards you. It's easier to hate you knowing that you're still an awful person. I went to hell and back because of you, you know. Do you not remember saying to me that you hated seeing my face because it brought up bad memories from the past for you? Well, that's exactly how I feel when I see your face now. I remember all the awful things that happened 3 years ago that I've been trying so hard to forget. I really don't think I'm going to be able to put up with seeing you all the time. So just like you did 3 years ago, I think I don't really have any choice but interfere with your relationship with my brother until you break off the engagement. Don't you agree? Didn't you say that you were the princess of your family back then? Well, I'm the princess of my family too. If I insist that I don't want you to marry my brother will eventually give in to me.
You're completely out of your mind. 3 years ago, I was basically still just a kid who didn't know anything about the world. That's why I was so insistent in interfering with your relationship with my brother back then, because I was stupid and didn't know any better. You say you were depressed over these last few years? Are you really going to say that was my fault, when I was just a stupid kid who didn't know what I was doing? What do you want from me? An apology? Is there really any point in that? It's all in the past now. I was willing to be nice to you and act like nothing happened between us. So why are you insisting on causing trouble? Do you really think you can come between me and your brother? He's fallen really hard for me, and I doubt he'll listen to you if you say anything bad about me. He loves me so much that he'd be willing to cut off his entire family if it meant he could be with me. So even if you do something, don't expect him to drop me and choose you instead, because he won't. If you don't want him to cut you off, you should just let it slide and act like we met for the first time the other day. I promise I'll be nice to you considering the fact that you're clearly very mentally fragile.
As expected, she hadn't changed at all in the last 3 years. I didn't necessarily expect her to be deeply sorry and for her to have spent the last few years repenting on her actions, but there happened a part of me that thought that maybe she would offer me a superficial apology at least. I was a fool for thinking that she had enough humanity in her to do something as basically decent as that. Instead, she was unashamedly unapologetic, and she even went as far as to threaten me. She was willing to act like an angel in front of my family, but showed her devil-like true personality when she was alone with me. I knew that I needed to do something, not just so that I could get revenge, but to stop my brother from entering into a marriage that would end up making him miserable. There was no way that I was going to let him get married to this crazy woman. I figured that she would probably say something out of line, so I decided to record our entire conversation. I knew that she would be coming over at the weekend to look at wedding venues with my brother, so I decided that I would expose her right there in front of my family. I had also recorded our conversation in the coffee shop 3 years ago, and I decided to play that along with a recording from the other day for everyone to hear.
Do you really think you can come between me and your brother? He's fallen really hard for me, and I doubt he'll listen to you if you say anything bad about me. He loves me so much that he'd be willing to cut off his entire family if it meant he could be with me. So even if you do something, don't expect him to drop me and choose you instead, because he won't. If you don't want him to cut you off, you should just let it slide and act like we met for the first time the other day. I promise I'll be nice to you considering the fact that you're clearly very mentally fragile. Stop this! Stop this! Wait a second! Louis, Bonnie, I can explain. There's an explanation for everything. This is all just one big anything.
You were the nasty girl that caused my daughter to spiral into depression. Thinking about what you put her through back then still keeps me up at night, you know. Do you have any idea how much my daughter and our entire family suffered because of your actions? I suppose you don't, because you were probably carrying on with your life. Happy as can be without a care in the world, weren't you? Whereas we were in a living hell for the last 3 years because of you. You can't even begin to imagine how awful it was for us.
I can assure you, Erin just misunderstood me. I have my reasons for saying the things that I said. Please just hear me out. This really is just one huge misunderstanding.
How can you possibly try and pass this off as a misunderstanding? Because of you, I had to break off my engagement with the man I loved and have been suffering with mental illness for the past few years to the point that I wasn't able to function properly for ages. You will never understand how difficult it was for my family. Standing by my side, watching me descend into despair. Trying to do something. Anything to help me.
Louis, please say something. Surely you believe me when I say it was all just a misunderstanding. Please just say something. Anything to reassure me that you're on my side.
I'm sorry, who are you? Do you know me? Because I for sure don't know you. You're not the person I've been dating for the past year. If this is who you really are, then I want nothing to do with you.
What did you just say? How come you're not taking my side?
I can't believe that you can be so unrepenting even when you've been caught red-handed. If I were you, I would be on my knees begging for forgiveness right now, apologizing as if my life depended on it. But no, even now you still try and run away from taking responsibility for your actions.
Why are you turning against me all of a sudden? Why aren't you taking my side unconditionally? When you got down on one knee and proposed to me, you promised that you would always take my side, no matter what. Does that promise not mean anything to you?
Did you think I didn't know about this already?
Wait, what? You already knew? You knew everything about who I was?
When I brought you over to meet my family for the first time, I noticed that Erin's reaction to seeing you was really out of the ordinary. Even if she wasn't feeling well that day, that wouldn't have been enough to make her react the way she did. So that evening, I asked her if she knew you from somewhere, and she told me that you were the one who had harassed her to the point that she was forced to call off her engagement. You didn't just ruin her engagement, you ruined her entire life. She wasn't able to continue working because of her mental health issues, and she had to be constantly going to the hospital to get treated for the period seizure she would go into from the shock she experienced. Even now, she's still on various medications to help her deal with her depression and hasn't been able to return to being the person she was 3 years ago. Even though I found out then, she begged me to let her be the one to expose you, so I didn't say anything to you straight away. I was so heartbroken when I heard the truth, but after I had some time to process it, I felt nothing but disgust and contempt towards you. I will never be able to understand people like you who think it's okay to go around ruining people's lives.
So, you were pretending that everything was fine and acting normal around me these last few weeks just so you could assure that your sister could get her revenge on me like this? I can't believe you would do that to me! How can you be so heartless?
Yes, maybe it was bad of me to deceive you and lure you into this trap, but that's nothing compared to everything you've done. If I'm heartless, then I don't even know how to begin describing you.
No! This can't be happening to me! But you love me! You can't live without me!
Yes, I did love you before, but love doesn't always last forever, and people's feelings can change. Love can easily change to disgust when you find out the person you cherished and trusted is a monster who doesn't hesitate to ruin people's lives to get what they want. You're a total psycho. Who would be able to love a person like you? I'm glad that I came to my senses before it was too late.
No! I call time out! I call time out! This can't be happening! This cannot be happening!
What on earth is wrong with you? I call time out? This isn't a game of tag in the playground, you know. This is real life. How can you be so immature? You're not the main character in some kind of chick flick where everything works out for you, you know. This is the real world, and karma comes back for people who do bad things to others. What's wrong? Did you really think that every single thing would always go your way forever and ever and ever, and you would have the perfect little life? How delusional you are. If you don't want us to drive you out, you'd better get out of here fast. You're lucky that I haven't slapped you around that smug little face of yours already.
I'm not going anywhere. And if you're going to kick me out, you better give me back all the gifts I bought you.
Oh, well, if that's how it's going to be, you better give me back the engagement ring then. You're wearing it right now, aren't you?
Wait a second! No, I really don't want to give it back. I take back everything I said. You can keep all the gifts. And you can take back anything else you bought me over the last year. Just please let me keep the ring, okay?
There really is something wrong with you in the head. You would have ended up ruining my life just like you ruined my sister's, wouldn't you? I wouldn't want to spend a second married to a psycho like you. So get out of my house already. Oh, you said I can take back everything I bought you, right? Well, I see that you're wearing the shoes I bought for you the other day. That's great then. I can just take them now without having to go and find you to get them back. Take them off and give them back to me right now. You can walk home in your bare feet for all I care.
I'm so sorry. Bonnie! No, Aaron. I know that what I did was wrong. Please forgive me.
Get out already. It's far too late for apologies now. Get away from my sister right now.
No, wait. Are you really going to send me home barefoot? You can't be that cruel. Please, at least just give me my shoes back. Please? All I'm asking for is my shoes. Please.
And so my ex-fiance's sister was driven out of my house barefoot. And even though she knocked on the door relentlessly, screaming and crying for us to forgive her, the building security were alerted and she was escorted off the premises. That evening, her parents heard what happened and showed up at our house, furious. I played them the recordings I had of their daughter and explained what she had done to me and how affected I had been by her actions over the last 3 years. After finding out the extent of everything, they felt awful and apologized to me and my parents from the bottom of their hearts. They blamed themselves for not raising their daughter properly and felt accountable for everything that had happened to me. They dragged their daughter around to my house again and made her kneel in front of me, crying and begging for my forgiveness. But I felt nothing at hearing her apologies now. I was owed an apology years ago, and hearing it now just made me feel empty. There was nothing her apology could do to bring back the last 3 years of my life, and I wasn't willing to accept the apology, nor to forgive her for what she had done. To be honest, even though I was able to exact my revenge on her, I didn't feel great about ruining my brother's engagement. I apologized to him for everything that had happened, but he said that he wasn't sad about it at all, and he was glad that I had helped him to realize what kind of a person his fiancé really was. It would have been much more of a headache to get away from her after getting married, so he said that I did him a favor. Although receiving an apology couldn't change what happened in the past, it did help me to start making progress with my mental health, and I felt that I was able to finally start moving on. Mental scars often take much longer to heal than physical ones, and it took another 2 years until I was almost completely back to normal and able to trust people again. I don't spend my days wallowing in my depression anymore, and the risk of having a seizure now is basically zero. I was finally able to meet someone new after regaining my health, and I'm enjoying going on dates with him, going on trips together, and just generally having fun. We are dating with the intention of getting married, but we don't want to rush things too much. Our parents have all met each other already, and everyone gets on like a house on fire. This time round, I feel positive that I will be able to get married without anyone interfering. Why are you going round getting into fights with the girl who works on the cash register at the supermarket? You're starting to get a bad reputation in this neighborhood. I can't show my face anywhere out of embarrassment because of you.
What am I supposed to do? She looks exactly like that evil woman who ruined my marriage. I can't control my anger, and I have no choice but to punch her in the face. Surely you can understand how I feel.
Where are you going now?
To the supermarket. I'm sure it's actually her.
You really have lost your mind, haven't you? I don't know what I have to do to make you come back to your senses. You can't go around attacking innocent girls and accusing them of ruining your engagement when they're nothing to do with you, and you're just delusional! Why don't you come with me to the hospital and we'll get you treated for whatever is going on here? You're determined to make my life difficult, aren't you? Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe.